Hi, my name is Carrie Trimble. I'm Associate Professor of Marketing, and I am the advisor for international students who come to the Tabor School of Business. And I'm going to walk you through a few expectations for the classroom, at least what it's like to take a class in Millikin. Um, a- Normally, I do this with the expectation that all your classes will be face to face. And normally I do this in person because we do a lot of things face to face at Millikin, but these are not normal times. These are pandemic times. So I will try to kind of walk you through some of the typical behaviors and expectations with the obvious caveat that things are different. You may have a hybrid class, you may have an online class, you may have, you will be sitting in a classroom 6 feet apart, which is not our normal expectation. So, first, this is me. If you see me out and about, or if you have me in class, don't hesitate to say hi. Um, my office is located in 310D ADM Scoville. So if you need help with schedules, if you need help just finding things, you just want to say hi to a friendly face, don't hesitate to stick your head in. Uh, This is my cell phone number. You are free to copy that down and drop me a text. Do me a favor, the first time you text me, introduce yourself so that I can get your information saved. And the next time you text me, I'll know exactly who you are. You can also email me. I'm working at being better at answering my email in a timely fashion, but my inbox gets pretty crowded. So please be patient. It can take up to 24 hours for an email response, but that is my email. And if you've got, um, questions, you want to add screenshots and show me things, that may be easier to do that via email than via text. You can also follow me on social media. I'm Dr. Carrie T. If you want to see what is been happening in the classroom and things that Millikin students are current doing, it's a good idea to follow that account. Also, if you have me for class, I do post assignment due dates to those accounts. Okay, we do keep office hours. The expectation for faculty at Millikin is that we will be available to you. Basically, it's about 6 hours a week that faculty are expected to keep office hours. Again, because of pandemic times, those may be virtual or online instead of face to face. I'm going to split mine up. Again, my office is 310D ADM Scoville, which is the third floor, the third U.S. floor um, in the ADM Scoville building. I am on the south end of the building, the southeast end of the building. It's a pretty big office, so there's room for you to come in and see me and for us to be safely socially distanced. So, to that note, I will have in-office office hours from 10 to noon on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I will hold Zoom office hours from 11:30 to 1:30 on Wednesdays. So some of you may have noticed that I said Tuesdays and Thursdays, but what you see up there is a T and an R. And some of you may have noticed on your schedules that you have class periods that are denoted with a T and an R. For reasons I cannot explain to you, but I can tell you it is common across most U.S. universities, we abbreviate Thursday with an R. I guess it's to distinguish it between the T for Tuesday. A lot of times you will also see Thursday abbreviated with a T and an H. But if you're looking at your schedule and you see that you meet from 9:30 to 10:45 and it says TR, that's 2 days a week. That's Tuesday and Thursday. Now, again, those are in normal times. In pandemic times, you may be online Tuesday at that time and maybe in class on Thursday at that time. So, what this is all, you need to take everything I'm saying today with a grain of salt. You're going to need to pay attention to what your faculty member has been emailing you and what they've been posting in our learning management system, which is Moodle. My office hours will start the week of August 25th. In the meantime, if you do have questions, you don't hesitate to email. All right, so these are the American classroom norms that I would normally cover. Things like when does the class start and reading your syllabus and personal space issues and queuing and your work and whether or not you should take classes in the English Language Center. But because these are pandemic times and because more of our classes are online or hybrid classes than normal, again, you need to kind of take this all with a grain of salt, okay? Which means you need to the things that are normal are the cultural norms in the U.S. higher education system, and the cultural norms at Millikin are shifting, or at least temporarily shifting, because we're trying to keep everybody safe and healthy. But if you were face to face, I would go through these, and I'm going to give you some information about this because most of you will at least have some class time in the class. So, one of the things that comes up sometimes with our students, our international students, is different cultural expectations of time. If you're if you're supposed to be in class and it lists the start time at 9:30, the expectation is that you are in the class in your seat ready to begin the class at 9:30. You will have some faculty members that will shut the door, occasionally even lock the door if you aren't there on time. So again, if it says it starts at 9:30, you should aim to be there at 9:25 so that you can get in, get seated, get situated. Also, this becomes really critical right now because we expect that you're probably going to need to wipe down and clean work surfaces, a desk surface, and you're going to want time to do that. If you show up at 9:30 for a 9:30 start time and then you need to unpack all your stuff and clean off the desk, you'll be disrupting your classmates and your professor, and that is going to be frowned upon. So, one of your best friends in all of this endeavor is going to be reading the syllabus. So, for every class, you will have a document that you will probably be getting as an electronic file, and it should outline all of the critical information for the class. So, this is an example from several springs ago for me. But it should tell you what the name of your faculty member is. It should tell you, what time the class meets and where, and of course, the name of the course. So, one of the things that comes up is what do I call my professor? And generally speaking, if you look on the syllabus and your faculty member puts PhD behind their name, that means that you can safely refer to them as doctor and their last name. So for me, you can call me Dr. Trimble, and it's a perfectly respectful, perfectly normal way to refer to me. Not all of your faculty members will have PhDs, and so if you look and they don't have that on there, the safest thing to do is to simply just call them Professor. Professor Trimble is also a perfectly respectable way to refer to me. I'm going to tell you, if you have class with me, that it's fine for you to call me by my first name, and I'll say Carrie is fine. And if I say that, I mean that, and you are welcome to call me Carrie. The one thing I don't recommend that you do is do not recommend that you default to Mr. or Ms. or Mrs. because there's implications there about marital status, and those are not the professional titles. So professor and doctor are pretty safe. If a faculty member wants you to call you something different than that, they should mention that to you. But you can see right there for the days and times for when this course meets, I have TR again, and that means Tuesday, Thursday, from 2 o'clock to 3:15. And again, it mentions the location of the class as well. Other things on your syllabus are going to be what are the required materials, and if there are specific required books or lab equipment or digital simulations you've got to sign up for, that should be listed on the syllabus. The contact information and office hours for your faculty members are also required to be listed on that syllabus. And then the other really critical thing is a list of landmark events and due dates. So one of the things you'll hear from me, and can be especially awkward adjustment for our students who are exchange students from Western European schools, is that instead of having one big exam or project due at the end and possibly a midterm exam in the middle, Our classes are a lot more likely to have a bunch of small assignments due across the schedule of the semester. So we will have a section marked landmark events and due dates, and it should mention when, what those things are and when they are due. But you can see in a spring semester, the students had things that were due in January and February, March, April, all throughout the semester instead of, one or two great big pieces that are due. So you're going to want to find that section on landmark events and due dates, and you're going to want to make sure you get those put down into your calendar. So, taking notes and other classroom behaviors, this is a section that I usually spend some time talking about the weirdness of how we sit in classrooms. And you can see from this picture, this is how we normally sit in classrooms if we have those kind of tables. You won't be that close together because we have a pandemic. So, and your faculty member will not be that close to you. And everyone around you is going to be wearing a mask. So, this is such an old picture. I miss those times. I'm guessing you do too. But here is what you need to know. Your faculty member expects you to be prepared and ready, and that means if there was assigned reading, you should be ready to discuss those when you come into class. If the faculty member is going to do lecture, the expectation is that you will take notes, whether it's by paper, which seems to be what everybody's doing in this picture, or whether it's on your notebook or on a tablet, the expectation is that the faculty member is sharing information with you that you're going to find useful later to complete assignments and to take exams. So strongly recommend that you come prepared to note things down. The other piece, and this is something that you may not be exhibited because of the weirdness of the spacing we've got to do right now for our classrooms, but American students tend to pick their seat the first day of class, and then even when there are no assigned seats, they repeatedly sit in that same seat. And that's just a cultural norm. There is no rule enforcing that in most classrooms. There are some faculty that do have assigned seats, and if you're taking a lab class, you may have an assigned lab table or assigned lab equipment that you routinely go back to that same space. But in general classrooms, the idea is you can come in and sit just about anywhere you want to. However, because of the pandemic and needing to keep people farther apart, it may be more common for faculty to assign seats. But in the classrooms where they don't assign seats, just know that your American classmates are going to pick one that first day, and they're going to expect to be able to sit in it every day. And there are going to be awkward looks amongst each other if you come in one day and take a seat that another student normally sits in. You don't have to acknowledge that cultural norm if you don't want to, but I just want you to be aware that it is there. Most of your faculty are going to be welcome to questions, and especially if you're, they don't consider it an interruption if you're looking for clarification and want to understand. So generally speaking, you can just raise your hand to get the faculty member's attention. You might even call out to them. You might, just say, Dr. Trimble, can I ask you to repeat that last bit? And most of us are very happy to do so, so don't hesitate. The other bit of cultural norm that sometimes comes up for me is that the Millikin faculty expect a fairly informal relationship with their students, meaning we expect you to come to office hours, to knock on the door, come on in, and you might just say, hey, can I sit down? And we'll say, of course, and then we'll keep talking. It's not been uncommon in the past for me to be chatting with one of my exchange students and realize that after 3 minutes of talking, they're still standing because they're waiting for permission to sit. And I'm like, oh, sorry, I didn't consider that. We expect you to say hi to us when you bump into us, or and again, we aren't going to be bumping into anybody very much, but when you see somebody, outside on the sidewalk, just to say hi. It's not a very formal relationship. The idea is that you should be able to ask us for help. You should be able to approach us. So, as I've mentioned, you're going to have multiple assignments and deadlines over the course of a semester, and that it should be all put out in your syllabus Theoretically, it should all also be in your Moodle shell for your class. And so just know that, again, you can see from this, again, this is an old spring semester syllabus for me, but students had 2 assignments due on one day, another assignment due the next day in class, because each of these lines is a week of class in my syllabus. Sorry about that. So, where typically you get a syllabus on the first day of class, faculty will hand them out or let you know that they're in Moodle. Some of them should, especially if you're going to have an online or hybrid class, the syllabus should be posted within Moodle, which again, this is our learning management system, otherwise known as, or also known as, where everything important should be found for your class. So you can log into My Millikin, and over on the right side where it says fast access, you should have a little yellowy orange square with an M and a little graduation cap. That is the icon for Moodle. Click on that and it should take you to a dashboard that lists all of your currently available classes. So from there you can click on one class and then that should pull you up to the specific class. And this, what I've grabbed the screenshot of, is the announcements section. And often that's where you'll find documents that we expect you to go back to over and over again. So for me, in a class, you would have the syllabus up there. You would have a course explanation video that kind of walks people through things. And any documents I think people are going to return to over the course of the semester, I will put up there. And then you might either have a day by day or a topic by topic or week by week breakdown of what's due. So not all of your faculty are very comfortable with Millikin, but a lot of us are starting to use it a lot more because we had to quickly move to doing everything online in the spring, and a lot of us are doing more online this fall than normal. So you should be there will be classes where you've got to submit your assignments there, where, that's where the links are going to be for you to watch videos. And there may be discussion boards where you've got to fill things out. So Moodle is probably going to be one of your new best friends, and so you need to familiarize yourself with that. Okay, this is a section that I don't really need to talk about too much because everybody is now accustomed to trying to keep 6 feet or 2 meters apart. Your American friends and roommates and classmates are going to expect a certain amount of personal space anyway. We tend to stand an arm's length away from each other as it is. And, the reality of it is, here in the Midwest of the United States, we actually have a lot of space. It's easy for us to insist on personal space. We don't have a lot of crowding in our cities. We don't have a lot of crowding in, you can drive for 40 miles and see nothing but cornfields. So, we haven't had to adjust to a lot of people living really close together. And so it's easy for us to maintain that kind of personal space. You should find your American roommates and classmates to be friendly. They should be really smiley. That maybe seem weird to you, because although everybody's gonna be wearing a mask, it's going to be hard for you to tell if they're smiling. But they'll seem really excited to see you. And in normal times, again, you would see them grinning real big. They might even be huggers, and they want to give you a big hug. And then as soon as they do, then they step back, and then they're a full arm's length away. And it's not because they don't like you. It's just because we will do that, and people will unconsciously move back, kind of inch back to get, if they feel like somebody is in too close and talking to them. So again, that may only come up with roommates, because that may be the one place where it's okay for you to be physically that close. The other thing is, we are very accustomed to lining up in actual lines. This is kind of a hat tip to our British origins. And especially now with needing to keep social distance, if you're in stores and probably in the calf, there will be marks on the floor that will show you where you can one at a time stand 6 feet apart in order to safely keep your distance, in order to pick up your food, or in order to pay for your groceries at Kroger or Aldi. Okay, this is the serious section where I talk about doing your own work. And I'm not going to belabor this point because I really don't think that most of you expect to cheat. What I will tell you is that some of you are probably not familiar with how seriously some of your American faculty are going to take the concept of plagiarism. There are faculty in the humanities and social sciences who will absolutely fail you for a course if you're caught plagiarizing. And again, plagiarizing is the idea that you have taken somebody else's work and turned it in as your own. Now, this can come in a variety of ways. It could be you buying a paper that was written by somebody, buying a paper online and submitting it. It could be a matter of really bad citations where you haven't attributed ideas and concepts to the famous people who came up with them. It could be a matter of classmates working together on assignments and turning in very similar assignments. Um, so I just want to mention that there's two situations where I have worked with international students where some of this comes up. And most of it is really just a matter, again, this isn't because somebody meant to cheat. It wasn't because, not making a suggestion about international students, doing things wrong. But what we have found is that there are multiple schools where the expectation is that it's okay for students to work together on an assignment and turn in the same work. We will have a lot of team projects, and in that case the expectation is that one copy of an assignment gets turned in, but multiple people have worked on it. If you are expected to do an individual assignment, then we want your work to look different from your classmates. It's okay for you guys to talk about it, to help each other out, but you cannot turn in the exact same work. The other area where I have found where some international students have struggled is that sometimes you don't leave yourself enough time to edit your papers. And if you're writing in a language that's not your first language, and if you've got your ideas, you know what you want to say, and you could have it done in an hour in your first language, or maybe even in your second language, but now you're trying to write in a language that is not your first, again, may not even be your second language, and getting things translated out of your head and onto the page into English and into US English and into carefully edited and grammatically correct US English. Sometimes my students don't leave enough time for themselves, and so they'll get panicked, and then they may do some copy and paste from things online. So just know, do yourself a favor, leave yourself plenty of time. It is better for you to go in and tell a faculty member, I ran out of time. I know what I want to say in Dutch, but I can't, I didn't leave myself enough time to get it out in English. It's often better for you to take a lower grade because you turned something in late, if that's something the faculty member will do, than to turn in something that you copied and pasted pieces from a classmate or from something you found online, and then they consider that plagiarism. Because generally speaking, a faculty member will just fail you for the whole assignment if you're caught cheating. And again, some of them will fail you for the whole class, depending on how big of an assignment it is and what their rules are for that class. And all of that should be spelled out in the syllabus with everything else. So again, I don't expect you guys to be doing these things. I just want to give a little warning about it. Electronic dishonesty, as a side note, is things like, don't hack into the system and change your grade. Don't post things pretending to be somebody you're not. One of the other things that's in your syllabus this semester that hasn't previously been in the syllabus is, because we're doing so much online, with like Zoom meetings and things like that, please know that you will get yourself into serious trouble if you are recording things and sharing them online, in sharing things to social media that happened in class. You do not have permission to do that, and that can get you into serious trouble, and that would fall under the electronic dishonesty. Okay, so again, I don't expect you guys to run into problems with that, but I just can't do this without warning you and making sure you know to take it seriously. What we want for you is we want your time at Millikin to be meaningful. We want you to explore as safely as possible. We want you to engage as safely as possible, and we want you to learn while you're here. So, welcome to Millikin. I'm looking forward to seeing as many of you in person as I can. If you've got questions, don't hesitate to drop them at ctrimble@millikin.edu, and welcome to the US.